It's May 2017, and if you work in healthcare, your life is about to change for the worse. The WannaCry Ransomware attack was one of the most devastating cyber attacks in history, and it affected hundreds of thousands of people across 150 countries, including some of the biggest hospitals and health organizations in the world. This catastrophe made headlines around the globe and put a spotlight on the healthcare industry as a whole. So how did this happen? What can we learn from it? And will the lessons be learned? Or are we headed for another disaster? Let's find out. WannaCry was a self-spreading malware that exploited weaknesses in older Microsoft operating systems and demanded ransom payments in order to decrypt infected files. On May the 1st, cases of this virus began to appear at a Spanish hospital. But it wasn't long before other facilities started to report issues as well. The UK's National Health Service was hit hard with over 200,000 computers infected, and many hospitals having to shut down their IT systems entirely. It wasn't just the NHS, though. As the malware spread across the globe, more and more victims were reported every hour. FedEx, Nissan, and the Russian Interior Ministry were just a few of the high-profile organizations that had to deal with the aftermath of this attack. The extent of the damage done by this ransomware was staggering. At least 45,000 computers were encrypted during the peak of the outbreak, with new victims still being added to the list. Even though WannaCry primarily targeted Windows systems, its impact reached far beyond that operating system alone. This is because it took advantage of vulnerabilities found in older versions of Windows software, which allowed it to quickly spread through networks, regardless of what kind of computer you were using. In fact, one victim only needed to open an email attachment for their system to become infected. No further action was required. The scope of this cyberattack really highlights how important cybersecurity is these days. Doesn't matter if you're a small business or a multinational corporation, no one is immune from these kinds of threats. And as technology continues to evolve, so will the methods used by attackers. But how does this ransomware actually work? Well, let's take a look at the anatomy of WannaCry. At its core, this program is designed to encrypt all files on a victim's computer and then demand a ransom payment in exchange for the decryption key. This key allows users to unlock their files once they've been encrypted, but it only works for that specific set of data. If you have multiple computers, each one will require its own unique key, meaning you have to pay up if you want to regain access to anything stored on your device. The way WannaCry manages to spread so quickly is through a process known as lateral movement. This involves exploiting security flaws in a network to gain unauthorized access, and then moving from system to system until it reaches its target. Once inside, the malware can start encrypting files immediately. Victims typically don't even realize what's happening until all their data has been locked away. The WannaCry virus spreads via an exploit that targets older versions of Microsoft Windows. This exploit was originally developed by the National Security Administration, but it was leaked online before Microsoft could patch the vulnerability. WannaCry capitalized on this flaw and used it to infiltrate systems without needing any user interaction. Once inside, it would copy itself onto the victim's computer and then encrypt all their files. It also created a text file with instructions on how to pay the ransom and where to send the money. The ransom note said that if you didn't pay up, there was a 10% chance they would release a free decryption tool. But this never happened, and all the stolen data remained encrypted. Now that we understand how WannaCry works, let's take a closer look at its impact on the NHS. On May 9, the UK's National Health Service declared a critical incident due to widespread IT outages caused by the WannaCry ransomware attack. Over 200,000 computers were infected, and 80,000 pieces of patient data were compromised. This included sensitive information such as names, addresses, dates of birth, and even medical records. To make matters worse, the cybercriminals behind this attack weren't finished yet. They had initially given the NHS 3 days to pay the ransom, before all the stolen files would be deleted. But after seeing how badly this attack was affecting patients and hospitals alike, they decided to extend this deadline indefinitely. This gave the NHS time to recover some of their systems without having to meet the extortion demands. However, it also meant that millions of pounds were wasted on preventative measures, like hiring additional staff and purchasing new equipment. The disruption caused by the WannaCry attack highlighted just how reliant the NHS is on IT infrastructure. Many hospitals had to cancel appointments and surgeries due to the inability to access patient records or other important information. This placed an additional burden on already stretched resources and caused significant delays in treatment for many people. Also raised serious questions about the security of patient data. With 80,000 records stolen, there was a risk that this information could end up being sold on the black market or used for identity theft. Although it appears that none of the stolen data was actually leaked, this remains a possibility. In the aftermath of the WannaCry attack, the government launched an investigation to determine how it happened and what could be done to prevent similar incidents in the future. It was found that the malware had spread through a vulnerability in older versions of Microsoft Windows. Despite knowing about this flaw, the NHS had failed to patch the software in time, allowing the virus to enter their network undetected. This lapse in security was a major factor in the widespread disruption that followed. In response to the WannaCry attack, the NHS took steps to improve its cybersecurity and protect patient data. This included investing in new technologies to detect and prevent malware infections, as well as providing training to staff members on best practices for handling sensitive information. Additionally, the government offered guidance to other organizations on how to better protect themselves against similar cyber attacks. So what can we learn from the WannaCry ransomware attack? For starters, it's essential to stay up to date with all software updates, especially those released by Microsoft. WannaCry took advantage of a vulnerability in older versions of Windows, so patching the software promptly could have prevented the attack altogether. It's also crucial to have a robust cybersecurity plan in place that includes measures to detect, prevent, and respond to malware infections. This should involve using antivirus software, implementing strong passwords, and providing regular security awareness training to staff members. Finally, organizations must ensure they have the necessary resources and expertise to manage their IT infrastructure effectively. The NHS was hit particularly hard by the WannaCry attack because it was ill-equipped to deal with such a large-scale cyber incident. Having the right people in place can help ensure that systems are secure and any potential threats are dealt with swiftly. Cyber attacks like WannaCry are becoming increasingly common, and it's essential to be prepared. By learning from previous incidents and taking steps to strengthen our defenses, we can better protect ourselves against these threats. Now that you know about the WannaCry ransomware attack and the steps that can be taken to prevent similar incidents, it's important to stay vigilant. Make sure you keep your software updated, have a robust cybersecurity plan in place, and invest in the necessary resources to manage your IT infrastructure effectively. By taking these precautions, you can help ensure that your organization is better prepared to handle any potential cyber threats. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video informative. Please don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. I'd love to hear from you. Have a wonderful day.